Welcome to week 2 of BIB 111, Introduction to Greek. This is a great journey. The ultimate goal is to be able to volume read, to sit down with the Greek New Testament and be able to read Book of Romans if you want to read that in 2 hours. That's what we're trying to do to get to the place where you can volume read ultimately in this program in both languages, Greek and Hebrew. And so we're coming to week 2. Let's dive in. Of course, you have the textbook material. Let me just get it where I can see. So I imagine it will take you about 10 hours to work through this material. And you won't be able to do it in one sitting. It's designed to take a whole week to do this, and an hour and a half a day is going to be ideal. And what we're going to learn is what's called the case system. In English, everything depends on word order, and that's not true in Greek. In Greek, it's all about the endings on the words. And so this chapter will explain what the case system is and why these endings on the word are so important. You'll have to memorize a couple of chapters. Also, we are going to do a quiz, and this is probably a better way to look at this material. We're working through the top 500 words listed by Dickinson College in ancient Greek, and so we're just going through the most used to the least used, and I think in the first semester we'll cover 175 words, and so we'll do 25 a week. For the 7 weeks, we did more than 25 in terms of sight words in the first week. So this is the word "the" in the masculine form, the feminine form, and the neuter form. All words in Greek have gender. And so when you're using the word "the," you have to memorize the appropriate gender for the word. This is the most used word in the Greek language, and so we'll memorize it, and we'll memorize the chart. This is the personal pronoun he, she, or it, and he masculine, she, and then it neuter. Kai is the word "and." On certain occasions it can mean even, but "and" is what you'll start out with. De is a mild adversative. On the other hand, it's post-positive, which means you put it second. You put it after the place where in English you would translate it. We have our first verb, I am. The ones that are indented will be extra credit, but we want to be exposed to them, right away. So this is I am, I will be, I was, or it was. It can mean either one of those things. And then the infinitive, to be. These are extra credit. You can write them out if you want, but I am is the only one that I'm looking for. This is the demonstrative pronoun, the word "this." So this man, this woman, this thing. A is a conjunction. It means or. So you need to be very careful. This is hey here, the word "the," and a, the word "or." Preposition "in" takes the dative case. We'll learn what that means. "In" takes the dative, but it just means in. It's probably where our word in English comes from. Mende, and you'll notice this is the same word. This is on the one hand, on the other hand. And so technically de means on the other hand, but sometimes you can translate it not quite and not quite but, somewhere in between those two. If it's in a Mende, you'll translate it on the one hand, on the other hand. And these are post-positive words. You put them one step further in the sentence than you would translate them in English. They're post-positive. T, I may have skipped this one, but this is who or what. And the way you recognize it is if it's accented on the first syllable, it has a question mark with it. That's kind of a mnemonic device that helps a lot of people. Who or what. And if it doesn't have the accent on the first syllable, it's a certain man, a certain thing. So masculine and feminine forms are the same, and then a neuter form. Has, he, ha. This is the relative pronoun, who or which. And you have to have a masculine version, a feminine version, and a neuter version. Gar is the preposition for. It's post-positive. I will do well on this test, for I studied. So that's how you use gar in Greek. It goes one step further in the sentence than you'll translate it as post-positive. U is not. If it's followed by vowels, it will have these special forms, but all three of these are the same. It just means not. Lego is I say. All these forms are extra credit, but I will say, I said, I have said, I have been said. Perfect. Passive, we'll learn that later, but just be exposed to that now. And then I was said, aorist passive. We'll learn that later. All these are extra credit, but this I say is what you want to be able to do. Hos is as. Te is the exact same as the Latin que. It's post-positive and it means and. Te is both and. It will be put on the end of the word. Sometimes it will stand alone, but it's functioning exactly like que does in Latin. Ace takes the accusative case, ace plus the accusative, and it means into. So in means in, and ace means into. Epi is on. All these are prepositions. Kata plus the accusative means according to. Ego is, we get the word ego from it. It means I. Emu, it means of me. And then the plural forms, we, hemes, we, and hemon, of us. So if you can just put I there, that will be good. Pros takes the accusative. It means toward. We're going to learn that in John 1. Gignomai means become. So this is the classical spelling, gignomai. In New Testament times, they drop this gamma out and it becomes ginomai in Koine Greek. And you can hear that ginomai is easier to say than gignomai. But this is the word become, and then the extra forms, I will become, I became, I have become, I have been made to become. I'm not sure how you would use that, but that is a perfect passive indicative. And then, these are deponent verbs, sorry. Just skip that. So I became, I will become, I became, I have become, and then the perfect passive form, and then I became. So this is, we'll talk about what this means later, but if you just learn ginomai is become, that's good enough, and be exposed that we're going to meet different forms of this verb. On is the hypothetical if, so it's implying that the if part of the statement is not true. And then dia plus the genitive is through. So 25 words, some of them come into English, some of them don't. But these are the 25 most used words, and you want to learn this well, be able to write that out. You'll need to learn the endings. The charts will be in the chapter. And, well, let me see. I believe I can pull this up. Let me switch it on this monitor so I can see it. So this is the word the. There are about 138,000 words in New Testament Greek. 20,000 of those are in this chart. So when the noun that the modifies is the subject of the sentence, it'll be in the nominative. If it's a masculine word, it takes ha. If it's feminine, it takes he. If it's neuter, ta. This is the of case, to or for case. This is a case when you have the direct object. All that is kind of spelled out. Read through this. It'll make sense. But you'll need to be able to reproduce this chart. This is the most important chart. And I would memorize it this way. Ha, tu, to, ton, hoi, ton, tois, tus. For masculine words, he, taste, te, tain, high tone, tais, tas. Ta, tu, to, ta, ta. There's no difference in pronunciation, but a difference in spelling. Ta, tone, tois, ta. If you memorize that, it's going to really be helpful for you. If we go back to the quiz, you'll need to reproduce that chart. This is the word good, and good has to agree with any adjective has to agree with the word it modifies in gender, number, and case. So you're going to have to memorize those adjectival endings. And if we go to the textbook, it will be these endings in red. Os, u, o, on, a, oi, on, ois, us, oi. You can see it's almost the same endings as a definite article, but you'll need to memorize this for the nouns, man, beginning, work. But we're going to just memorize the adjectival endings. They're exactly the same. But you'll need to memorize these ones in red. And keep reading through the material on the case system. I think, if you read through it several days, you're going to get it a little better. We will have an optional time for questions, a synchronous part of this class where if you choose to do that, you can ask questions. So once you've tried to work through it on your own, we'll have that time together. If we come back to the quiz, then we'll do the translations. And so, this is very ambitious. Hang on, let me pull that up. Sorry, I need to switch back here. We have these, and we're going to work through these translations. So 3 translations, John 1:1-4, Genesis 1:1, and 2 Corinthians 4:6. And so this is how we'll do it. If you are in Logos, the first thing you want to do, so we're going to try to tackle these 4 sentences. The very first thing you want to do every time is to listen to the text being read well. And I would read it for you, but I'm not the best Greek reader. Logos does have the reading by John Swant, and it's not showing up here, but if you do these 3 little dots and you come down about 9 or 10 spaces, it says read Greek audio aloud. I'm going to push it, and then John will read, and I'll follow along with a cursor. So here we go.
In arche ein halagos, kai halagos ein proston theon, kai theos ein halagos. Hutas ein in arche proston theon, panta diautu eginata, kai horisautu eginata ude hin hageganin. In auto zoein, kai he zoein tafos ton anthropon.
So you can see I have the speed set at 0.75, so he's reading a little slow. But if you go through NRK ein ha logos, kai ha logos, ein pros ton theon, kai theos ein ha logos, hutas ein NRK pros ton theon, panta diautu egenita, kai chorus autu egenita ude hen, hageganen in auto zoe ein, kai he zoe ein taphos ton anthropon. So what you want to do is you want to get where you can read that. Now, the nice thing that we have in Logos is that you can set up Zerwick's grammatical analysis, and you can link these 2 windows together. So if you go to the 3 dots and do link set A, it's the second one down, and you do the 3 dots here, link set A, then these will be connected, and when you read, it will scroll with you. So the nice thing is right off the bat, you have, kind of a grammatical explanation of things. What we can also add is a lexicon, and if you have the money to purchase BDAG, that's kind of the standard one. They call it BDAG. It's a standard lexica for biblical Greek. And if you do send hyperlinks here, so on the 3 dots and come down, it's not showing as I record this, but 3 down, and you do send hyperlinks here. If you do that, when you double click on a word, it will automatically look it up in BDAG. So NRK beginning, ha logos was the word, and the word was toward God. Now that's with the genitive. Here it's with the accusative. So movement toward was toward the God, and the word was God. This one, so that's one of our vocabulary words. And again, if you double click, this one was in the beginning toward the God. Panta, okay, so if you notice in the bottom right corner where I'm covering up, if you hover over it, it will parse it for you. So it's going to tell you this is a neuter plural of the word all. So neuter plural, all things through him came about. And apart from him, so this word chorus, it takes the genitive case, apart from him, there came about not even one thing. What has come about in him, and that's our vocabulary word from genomai, what has come about in him was life, and the life was the light of human beings. So you want to be able to read through that by the end of your 10 hours. The second is you want to read in the Septuagint. And the Septuagint is the Greek translation of the Old Testament. And notice how similar it starts off. NRK, in the beginning, epoiesin, so that's from poieo, to do or make. This is going to be the aorist, so it's past tense. Made, he made. And who's the he? Ha theos, made the heaven and the earth. So we'll do Genesis 1:1 in the Septuagint. And then the last reading will be 1 Corinthians 4:6. And you can see that these are Second Corinthians 4:6. These are all connected in that they all are referencing Genesis 1. And so this is Paul, and Paul says, because the God, the one saying, and if you go in the bottom left corner, it's going to tell you that's an aorist participle. The God, the one having said, from the scatus, from the darkness, phos, so we get like photon torpedoes, light will shine. The God is the one who has shown in our cardias, in our hearts, for the illumination of the knowledge of the glory of the God in the face of Jesus Christ. So that's a complicated sentence grammatically. And I'm not expecting you to understand all the grammar, but you're going to see that, hey, I recognize a lot of these words. I can pick up some of the grammar. And if you can do that, I'm not expecting you to be perfect. If you can do that, you're going to be well on your way. And what you want to do is, as you study this week, and as you go back, you want to just have this end goal of the quiz in mind, where you can just ace this quiz. So that's what's going to be important. The verbs indented are X credit, so you want to be able to kind of recognize sight, but or recognize the fact that they're related to the main one. These are always listed as principal parts, and we'll explain that later. But if you get where you can memorize this material, you're going to be in great shape. So be able to write out that definite article, be able to write out the adjectival endings. And then as much of these translations as you can do, work through that. Some is going to be a little complicated, but just so long as you're making progress. And I think you'll have a great week. We will have a time where you can ask questions of the professor, and that will be a synchronous time if you choose to want to avail yourself of that. But I wish you well, and enjoy your journey. Thanks.